It's time to talk about a condition quietly stealing the sight of millions every day. It doesn't strike. Suddenly it begins, subtly. Maybe you've noticed yourself squinting at the morning newspaper blaming the light. Or headlights at night feel painfully bright, forcing you to avoid driving after dark. Perhaps one day you struggle to clearly see your grandchild smile, as if a faint haze now separates you from those you love. This isn't your imagination. This isn't simply aging. It's a cataract, the gradual clouding of your eye's natural lens. By age 80, over half of all Americans have cataracts or have undergone surgery to remove them. But for many, the process begins silently, in their 50s or 60s, slow, painless, and certain. Blurry vision isn't just inconvenient. It erodes your confidence, independence, and daily joy. But here's the truth: you can take action now. Simple, natural choices, especially in your diet, can slow this process. And surprisingly, some of your strongest allies are already in your kitchen: nuts. Stay with me. We're about to uncover how 4 humble nuts can help protect your most precious gift, your clear, confident vision. Let us begin our deep dive with the first of these, a seemingly insignificant nut with immense antioxidant capability: almonds. Almonds, your eye's antioxidant shield. You may merely regard almonds as a nutritious portable snack, but for your eyes, particularly as you pass the age of 60, they represent an essential and silent defensive perimeter. Allow me to detail the underlying medical mechanism. One of the primary catalysts for cataract development is a process known as oxidative stress. This is the medical terminology for the gradual impairment of your eye's lens by unstable molecules known as free radicals. These tiny molecular culprits accumulate from factors like chronic sun exposure, environmental pollution, and even the body's routine metabolic activity. Crucially, your lens, the transparent structure in your eye responsible for focusing light, lacks the regenerative capability of tissues like skin or muscle. Once it initiates the clouding process, the damage tends to accelerate rapidly. This is precisely where vitamin E takes its pivotal role. It is universally recognized as one of the most potent antioxidants available to us. It acts to protect the delicate cells within your lens from oxidative assault, functioning much like applying a protective sealant against corrosion. And would you believe that almonds represent one of the richest whole food sources of vitamin E found in nature? Consuming just a modest daily portion, approximately 20 to 25 almonds, can furnish up to 50% of your required daily intake of vitamin E. The more significant point, however, is the cumulative benefit achieved over time. You should not expect a singular consumption of almonds today to result in perfect vision tomorrow. You consume them consistently, and in doing so, you are affording your eyes a genuine opportunity to maintain clarity for an extended period. I want to share the experience of a patient I managed, Margaret, a 68-year-old retired librarian. Her consultation was driven not by pain, but by profound frustration. She confided, "I used to read every night before sleeping, but now the words blur and run together. I continuously rub my eyes, mistakenly attributing it to exhaustion. I have even stopped reading aloud to my grandchildren because I can no longer accurately track the words on the page." Her clinical examination confirmed the presence of early-stage cataracts. They were not advanced enough to warrant immediate surgery, but they were sufficient to diminish the enjoyment in her life. We deliberately avoided an immediate path to the operating room. Instead, we performed a meticulous review of her diet. She consumed virtually no nuts. We initiated a simple, manageable change: almonds with her afternoon tea. 6 days out of every week, consistent, non-extreme intervention. Have you ever felt a comparable sense of exasperation regarding your visual function? A mere 3 months later, Margaret reached out to me not to declare that her cataracts had vanished, but to convey a far more meaningful outcome. She stated, "I am able to read once more, not for prolonged hours, but enough to fully absorb a chapter before retiring. I have resumed reading Charlotte's Web to Lily." This illustrates the profound capability of a small nut to restore an essential facet of an individual's life. I am not and would never claim that almonds constitute a cure. However, when you deliberately furnish your body with the appropriate tools, specifically antioxidants like vitamin E, you are actively bolstering the natural defense systems that effectively slow the progression of cataract formation. Therefore, if you are preparing a serving of coffee or tea today, I strongly recommend you include a handful of almonds as well. Your eyes will express their gratitude in the years to come. Next, we will discuss a specific nut that is frequently underestimated, yet it is replete with the essential omega-3 fatty acids that your eyes critically require. Walnuts, the fuel for ocular circulation. If we consider almonds as the antioxidant shield for your eyes, then walnuts serve as their circulatory fuel line. While antioxidants such as vitamin E are instrumental in preventing damage to the lens, your eyes equally depend on optimal blood flow to sustain their health, particularly the minute delicate vessels that supply the retina and the lens. After the age of 60, circulation naturally tends to become less efficient. The microscopic capillaries responsible for delivering oxygen and vital nutrients to your eyes do not circulate with the same freedom as they once did. This is precisely where omega-3 fatty acids enter the therapeutic picture, specifically a type identified as ALA, or alpha-linolenic acid. You have undoubtedly heard of omega-3s primarily in the context of fish oil. Yet here is the surprising revelation. Walnuts are the most concentrated plant-based food source of omega-3s you can consume. These beneficial fats assist in mitigating inflammation, enhance the elasticity of blood vessels, and promote a smooth, continuous circulation throughout the ocular structure. The practical implication is that a greater volume of nutrients reaches your lens, substantially diminishing the probability of that lens becoming clouded due to nutrient deprivation. I recall the case of a retired mail carrier named Charles. He was 72, physically fit, consistently active, and maintained a daily walking regimen. But his night vision had evolved into a serious concern. He admitted, "Doc, I can manage steps in the rain, but headlights, they cause me to completely seize up. I simply cannot see through the visual distortion anymore." His cataracts were classified as mild. However, his blood analysis prominently revealed chronically depressed omega-3 levels. He did not consume fish and actively avoided nuts due to a mistaken belief they were universally fattening. We introduced a minute modification, a mere 7 walnut halves integrated into his breakfast regimen each morning. That was the entirety of the adjustment. 6 weeks subsequently, he reported an unexpected benefit. "I drove home after dark last night, and the glare did not paralyze my focus. I was apprehensive, but I completed the drive." Have you ever experienced that specific type of anxiety or genuine fear concerning nighttime driving? His self-assurance was demonstrably returning. His nocturnal vision was not flawlessly restored, but it was showing noticeable improvement. Crucially, he was no longer intimidated by the one factor that made him feel elderly: the loss of his freedom to operate a vehicle. Nutritional intervention for your ocular health is not akin to a magic cure. It is momentum. Every individual walnut consumed daily contributes cumulatively to a lifetime of superior blood flow, reinforced vessels, and reduced inflammation in the parts of your anatomy that are most critical. Furthermore, here is a practical recommendation. Walnuts are optimally absorbed when combined with a small quantity of protein such as Greek yogurt or a serving of oatmeal. They function beyond a simple snack. They are a form of natural medicine that happens to be palatable. Therefore, if your vision seems unimpaired during daylight hours, but you anticipate the difficulties of nightfall with dread, it may not be merely the effect of aging. It may be that your eyes are deficient in the essential kind of healthy fat. And walnuts, these unassuming wrinkled little kernels, might be precisely what your body is requesting. In the next section, we will turn our attention to a nut that is often undervalued, a variety that is creamy, subtly sweet, and remarkably potent in providing protective benefits for your retina. Cashews powering your retina with zinc and lutein. Among all the nuts featured on this list, cashews are perhaps the most underestimated. They possess a soft texture, are richly creamy and slightly sweet, and they are typically included in various trail mixes or Asian culinary dishes. However, what most individuals are unaware of is their concentrated provision of two essential nutrients upon which your eyes become highly dependent after the age of 60, zinc and lutein. We will initiate with zinc. Zinc acts like a logistics service for vitamin A. It facilitates the transportation of this crucial vitamin from your liver directly to your retina, specifically to a region called the retinal pigment epithelium, a structure absolutely fundamental for maintaining functional vision in low-light conditions. In the event of zinc insufficiency, this vital transport system decelerates. The result is that your retina cannot perform at its maximum operational capacity. You may recognize this as difficulty adapting when moving from bright to dark environments, or that persistent annoying sensation when you step from a sunlit path into a dimly lit room and your vision struggles to adjust. Next, we address lutein, an equally essential contributor. Lutein is a carotenoid, a naturally occurring plant pigment that progressively accumulates within your macula, the central region of your retina. Consider lutein to be your internal biological sunglasses. It effectively filters out harmful blue light and provides protection for your retinal cells against damage induced by light exposure, particularly from digital screens and intense sunlight. The critical point is this: your body does not synthesize lutein. It must be acquired entirely through dietary sources. And cashews provide a small but reliable quantity, sufficient to generate a tangible positive impact over time when consumed regularly. Allow me to introduce you to Anita, a 64-year-old church organist. Her vision had begun to deceive her during evening services. She described the pages of the hymnal as appearing bleached out beneath the fluorescent illumination, and she encountered significant trouble shifting her gaze from the bright stage lights to the shadowed pews. Her overall diet was clean, but was notably low in essential minerals. We implemented one straightforward dietary adjustment: a serving of cashews, approximately 16 to 18 nuts every evening, accompanied by a piece of fresh fruit. Have you encountered comparable difficulties with visual contrast or the need to adjust between varying light levels? Within a period of 2 months, her reports transcended mere improvement in visual contrast. She specifically shared that she could locate her vehicle in the dark parking lot without any uncertainty. She declared, "I no longer have to strain my eyes at shadows. I feel more secure. I feel more visually acute." Cashews cannot miraculously reverse advanced vision loss, but they accomplish something frequently overlooked. They provide essential nourishment for your retina. They offer support to the cells responsible for light absorption, for transmitting clear signals to your brain, and for effectively processing the surrounding world. And when you are in your 60s or 70s, even marginal enhancements in visual clarity can be the decisive factor between self-assured action and hesitant reservation. Therefore, if you have observed that colors appear muted, or if your eyes seem sluggish when adapting to changes in illumination, your retina may be signaling its need for supplemental support. cashews might well be one of the most uncomplicated means to meet that requirement. Approaching next is one final nut, a type frequently regarded as the most economical, yet surprisingly potent for sustaining lens health and providing defense against clouding the peanut. Peanuts, the simple solution for lens health. They are ubiquitous, found in vending apparatuses, carried in lunchboxes, and even offered on airline trays. Due to their extreme commonality, many individuals dismiss peanuts as merely junk food, or at best, a low-cost snack option. However, if you are over the age of 60 and actively endeavoring to safeguard your eyes, it is imperative that you begin to regard peanuts with seriousness. Although peanuts are not botanically categorized as true nuts, they are legumes. Their nutritional profile is distinctly beneficial for the eyes. Firstly, they boast a substantial content of niacin, also recognized as vitamin B3. Niacin performs a crucial function in energy metabolism and in preserving the integrity of blood vessels, particularly the minuscule capillaries situated behind the eyes. These vessels are responsible for supplying nutrients to the lens. When they are inflamed, constricted, or weakened, the lens becomes significantly more susceptible to the process of clouding. Peanuts also furnish a beneficial quantity of resveratrol, a naturally occurring compound that is also present in red wine renowned for its formidable anti-inflammatory and antioxidant capabilities. Furthermore, unlike numerous highly processed snacks, plain roasted peanuts contain a robust balance of plant-based protein, healthy fats, and trace minerals, notably magnesium, which is vital for supporting nerve signal transmission between the ocular structure and the brain. I once worked with a gentleman named Dennis. He was 70, retired from the postal service, and took pride in remaining physically engaged. But his vision was the source of considerable frustration. "I cannot discern street signs until I am almost directly upon them," he recounted to me. He had mild cataracts, but the clarity of his lens was deteriorating more rapidly than clinical expectation. He was not inclined toward supplements and refused to consume fish, but he admitted a fondness for peanuts. He simply had not considered them as a therapeutically useful food. We implemented one change. He substituted his habit of a late-night cookie for a palm-sized quantity of dry roasted peanuts, unsalted and without any sugar coating. He maintained this routine 5 evenings per week in conjunction with his usual evening walk. 3 months later, he returned with a broad smile and declared, "Doc, I do not know the mechanism in those peanuts, but I am now able to read license plates again." Was this a miraculous intervention? Absolutely not. However, in his specific clinical context, the supplementary niacin and protein most likely resulted in enhanced blood flow and a measurable reduction in oxidative stress directly surrounding the lens. This minor alteration helped stabilize his vision and restored a vital sense of autonomy. We too frequently operate under the assumption that only exotic superfoods or prohibitively expensive ocular formulas can offer assistance. Yet sometimes the most basic foods, those we casually overlook, can deliver the most substantial positive impact. Therefore, if you currently possess a container of peanuts in your pantry, do not disregard their potential. A handful consumed daily, particularly as a transitional snack between lunch and dinner, may very well represent one of the simplest methods to naturally support the health of your lens. The encouraging aspect of this guidance is that you do not need to attempt to memorize the specific benefit of each individual nut, because in the subsequent segment, I will delineate the precise method for integrating all 4 into a simple, sustainable daily regimen without overcomplication or excessive expenditure. You are not in need of a convoluted dietary plan or a cabinet filled with supplements to provide support for your eyes. What you require is a habit, a small, entirely manageable rhythm that you can replicate each day without associated stress or guesswork. Here is a strategic nutritional routine that I have successfully recommended to numerous patients over the past decade. It is straightforward, provides flexibility, and is indeed palatable. Morning antioxidant kick. As you prepare your coffee or tea, integrate a handful of almonds, approximately 20 to 25 pieces. They are rich in vitamin E, and when consumed with a warm beverage, they are typically digested more smoothly, helping to initiate the day with a steady dose of antioxidant protection. Midday circulatory support. Around the time of lunch or shortly thereafter, intentionally include walnuts. Merely 6 to 8 halves is an adequate serving. You can distribute them over a salad, mix them into oatmeal, or consume them plain alongside a few apple slices. These are the essential delivery mechanism for the omega-3s that your ocular blood vessels require to remain open and well-nourished. Late afternoon retinal nourishment. Specifically in the late afternoon, particularly if you experience the common hunger dip around 3 or 4 p.m., opt for cashews, about 15 to 18 nuts. They provide a beneficial boost of zinc and lutein just prior to the typical increase in evening light exposure, such as looking at screens or consuming television. Evening lens stabilization. Finally, following your dinner meal as a strategic alternative to reaching for sugary confections, try a small serving of peanuts. This offers a gentle method to conclude the day with a profile of protein niacin and a minimal amount of resveratrol. Approximately 1 closed handful is sufficient. Pair them with a few grapes or a small portion of dark chocolate. This can successfully satisfy your craving without inducing a rapid elevation in blood sugar. Now, I want to emphasize the fundamental principle. You do not have to achieve perfection. It is not a requirement to consume all 4 varieties of nuts every single day. But your objective should be to aim for at least 2 different varieties daily and to deliberately rotate them throughout the course of your week. If precise portion measurement proves challenging, simplify the process. Utilize small jars or single-serving snack bags to pre-pack them for the week ahead. This eliminates the necessity of making a decision in the moment. When the designated time arrives, you simply reach for the correct pre-portioned serving. Some of my patients find success in maintaining a nut box on their kitchen counter, a small organizational container with each type specifically labeled for a designated day. It may seem overly simplistic, but for many people, this small visual cue is the deciding factor between forgetting and establishing a genuine, sustainable habit. What I find most gratifying about this specific routine is that its benefits extend beyond mere ocular support. It also provides support for your cognitive function, cardiovascular system, dermal health, and energy reserves. This is not just another item to add to your task list. It represents a tangible gift that you are conferring upon your future self. Because the ultimate objective is not flawless execution, it is building momentum. And momentum often commences with a step as fundamental as incorporating a handful of almonds before your morning meal. Now let us synthesize all of the information with one conclusive message that I truly want you to internalize and carry forward, particularly if you have been quietly harboring concerns about your vision. If there is only one central takeaway I hope you glean from our discussion today, it is this. The loss of your vision after the age of 60 is not a foregone conclusion. Yes, the process of aging introduces physiological modifications, but cataracts do not have to deprive you of the activities you cherish, reading the morning news, clearly distinguishing the faces of your beloved family members. Driving your vehicle with absolute certainty, or simply observing a sunset without visual strain. You are not without recourse. And you are certainly not alone in this experience. Every seemingly small, deliberate choice you make, every almond, every walnut, every cashew, every peanut, accumulates into a significant benefit. This positive accrual is manifested not only in the health of your eyes, but also in your overall outlook and feeling about life. Clearer vision is intrinsically linked to greater independence. Greater independence translates directly into more personal freedom, and this freedom empowers you to continue to fully participate in the lives of the people and the meaningful moments that matter to you most. I have personally witnessed it time and again, individuals in their 60s, 70s, and even early 80s reclaiming clarity. A clarity that is not exclusively visual, but spiritual. And frequently the process begins with an intervention as modest as altering the contents of their hand during a snack break. If you have dedicated your attention to this point in our discussion, I wish to sincerely express my gratitude. Truly, your time and your demonstrated trust are deeply meaningful. And if you have managed to find even a flicker of hope or a beneficial concept here today, I gently encourage you to take one action. Please click like. Consider sharing this video with an acquaintance or loved one who may be silently struggling with their own vision challenges. Feel free to leave a comment below, even if your message is simply, "I am commencing this routine today." And if you are encountering my content for the first time, please consider subscribing so we can maintain this health journey together. Because our purpose is not merely to discuss symptoms, we are here to discuss solutions. We discuss hope. And above all, we discuss you, the complete individual behind any medical diagnosis. Attend to your vision, attend to your life, and always remember you are worthy of every single effort.